Hello, and welcome to Denton's Tales of the Viking Age. Now, once again, I am venturing into new territory as far as my videos are concerned, and I'm going to do another review and comment video regarding the accurate or otherwise portrayal of the so-called Viking Age, which is my principal interest. And it's in a movie this time, which I've been asked to do. Now, I've done one previously, a review on a trailer for a video game, Assassin's Creed Valhalla. But a lot of people, I think, missed the point of what I was doing, why I was doing it. It's only a video game. What's that got to do with history? It doesn't matter if it's accurate. Just play it. Well, yeah, in itself, probably not. It probably didn't really matter if it was accurate or not. But just as one defective brick in a wall has no real bearing on the strength of the wall, if every brick in that wall is defective, then the integrity of the wall is compromised. Now, I'm interested in accuracy in all media, not just video games, TV, movies, documentaries, talk shows, everything. And if a common misconception runs through all of them, then that can change some aspect of history completely. Each individual error in any one medium adding to the universal collective sum of errors, you could say. Various forms of entertainment media drawing from each other, so that a seemingly harmless error in, say a video game, that just adds to the total misunderstanding across the board. After all, the idea that Vikings wore horned helmets, something that most people believe to be true, and something that is a total myth. It is a myth that Vikings actually wore helmets like that, or some of them did. Most men wouldn't have been able to afford them. But that era came about through an era in a form of popular entertainment media, opera in that case, stemming from Richard Wagner's operas, principally the four that form the cycle known as Der Ring des Nibelungen, or the Ring of the Nibelungs. That is Das Rheingold, die Walküre, Siegfried, and Goethe Dimmerung. So, video games, for example. Video games couldn't hurt history. They are only games. But the horned helmet was only a stage prop in a theater in Germany. And look what that did to history. And, before the era of mass communication, when it wasn't just opera goers in Germany who could see it, now the whole world gets to see it instantly. I hope that shows why accuracy in media concerns me. Now, my friend Bjorn has asked me to do a review of the trailer for a movie called Pathfinder, which I must say I've never actually heard of. And this movie has a Viking theme and is set in North America, which is rather unusual. And of course, it is the Viking Age that is my particular interest, which I suppose would explain why my channel is called Denton's Tales of the Viking Age. And it's Bjorn, by the way, who now does the graphics for these videos and does them very well. So thank you very much, Bjorn. So now let us see what the accuracy level of Pathfinder is. So just get myself ready. And
there are two wolves
here we go.
Fighting in a man's heart. One is called love. The other, hate.
Oh, well, that's not a Viking sword. It has runes on it, but putting runes on something doesn't make it Viking. But the ship has horns on it. What? Oh! They came without warning. Well, that helmet certainly came without warning. A skull? With fangs? The orcs from Lord of the Rings have arrived. They killed without mercy. Well, no, they didn't. Oh, there's the Viking sword that's not a Viking sword again.
The boy has destiny among the people. He stays.
Ah. Oh, what? What is that thing on the end of this? Oh.
I've tried to shed my past, but it claws at me.
The prophecy is coming to fulfillment.
Oh, okay. Crucifixion? Horned shields? Oh!
Run and you may live.
Helmet. The horse!
You will die.
The horse has a horn
What
on
will
it.
you do?
Kill as many as I can.
No, I think you should have started with the costume designers. Oh, painful. Oh, well, the action scenes are, I suppose the Blood and Guts Brigade will certainly be happy with that. That should be, he's got knobs on it. Well, there's a, did I see a flail? It's not a very Viking weapon. Plate armor. And there's the un-Viking Viking sword once again. Okay. Yes. Right. Yeah. Where to begin on this one? Well, I suppose, like Alice in Wonderland, I'll begin at the beginning, go on to the end, and then stop. Right. The sword, which we saw at the beginning. Now, that is very, very obviously not a Viking sword. There are hundreds of Viking swords in museums. We know exactly what they were like, and there's a good example of one there. There's another one back up there. The sword shown there is a later medieval type with a very long crossguard. Viking swords had a very short crossguard. The pommels were either a ball type or they were a multi-lobed type, as you see there. Now here right away is an example of what I say about accuracy. This is not a fantasy movie as such. It is set in that it is set in a fantasy era or location like the Sword of Truth or the Lord of the Rings or Game of Thrones. This is set in the real world in a real historical period, the Viking Age. Yet we have a sword which is a fantasy sword. This is the sort of sword you expect in The Lord of the Rings or Game of Thrones. It could be the Sword of Truth out of Terry Goodkind's books. So right away, we have a historical period and it has a fantasy sword in it. No Viking sword that I've ever seen had a sort of animal pommel, whatever that thing is supposed to be. So when I saw the ship, a horned ship. Yes. Well, when I saw it a bit later, and the woman is going through what appears to be, I took initially to be a capsized ship that was upside down, and this thing up the top was part of the keel. But then I realized that I could see the raised prow of the ship. So she was obviously right way up. In which case, did this ship have a house or something built on it? I'm not really I'm not really sure where they're coming from on that one. And bodies up on scaffolds full of arrows. I have not heard of any case of the Vikings ever building a scaffold and crucifying people on it. Crucifixion was not something they really would have done. The only time, Vikings might have crucified somebody would have been maybe to Christians who had annoyed them in some way. But Native Americans weren't Christians, so I'm not. Anyway, I'm not sure there now. Oh yes, horned helmets. Yes, horned helmets are of course my particular hate, I suppose, when it comes to depictions of the Viking Age. When Vikings wore helmets like that one, but at least whenever they actually wore them, most men wouldn't have had helmets because they couldn't afford them. But this movie, when it comes to horned helmets, it has gone beyond anything I could ever have imagined, even in my wildest dreams. No, sorry, not dreams, wildest nightmares. Because not only do we have horned helmets, we have a horned ship. A horned ship, yes. A horned ship and a horned horse. This movie has taken the horned helmet to glorious new heights of lowness. I mean, it couldn't be wronger. if you want to make up a word, than this. We have first we have helmets with not just the usual little horns you see on a Viking helmet. No, no, these things are like tusks on an elephant. You know, I mean, quite apart from their wrongness, they'd have been positively dangerous. I mean, you swing your arm up with your sword and impale your arm on one of your horns. I mean, we see a number of helmets with these weird fantasy horns. So they are like the orcs out of Lord of the Rings. Um, Again, this is set in genuine historical period, Vikings in North America, and we have helmets which are straight out of the Lord of the Rings. We also have a horse with horns on it and plate armor. And armored horses with or without horns would not have been found in that age. That would have been a more later medieval thing. The Norse certainly did not have horse armor or plate armor of any kind. We see also some of the men there with plate armor. Plate armor was not used. I see there are horns on shields. So we have a horned ship, horned helmets, horned shields, horned horses. You know, no pun intended. I can honestly say that is the horniest movie trailer I have ever seen. That is just, and the skull helmet. I mean, a horned helmet is bad enough, but a skull helmet with fangs. Yes. Okay. The the flail, but that's not really a Viking weapon. I suppose they could have acquired one. This entire movie, I mean, I really cannot see where they're coming from. Like, I mean, a horned ship. I just, when I saw that, you know, horns on helmets, horns on horses, but horns on a ship. You know, I'm utterly flabbergasted. I have seen poor movies. I've seen bad movies. I've seen good movies with maybe horned helmets in them, but I have never seen anything to come close to this. And I think it is a fine example of why I am concerned about inaccuracies across the board in all media, not just video games. Because, as I say, we have this is not a fantasy movie. It is a historical movie because it is set in a real country, in a real time period, the Viking Age. And yet, it is treated like a fantasy. It is treated like Dungeons and Dragons or the Lord of the Rings. And there's a perfect example of what I feel about accuracy in movies, particularly concerning the Vikings. So I I really can't think of anything else to say. I'm quite sure I'll probably have a nightmare about this, being pursued by armored horses and a ship with horns on it. Anyway, I must say, having watched the trailer, I have no desire to actually sit through the movie. You know, I'm not a masochist. I would not want to inflict that level of pain on myself. So I will definitely pass on Pathfinder, the movie. And I can only say that I do give it 100 out of 100 marks when it comes to total wrongness. I have never seen a wronger movie. So I'm sorry, Pathfinder, it is definitely thumbs down. So with that, I shall say farewell. Goodbye till next time. If there is a next time, if I recover from what I just thought. Anyway, bye for now.